It's the ultimate battle between mischief and magic. Who will end up coming out on top and move on to the next heat in the Omega tournament? Well, let's hop into the pages of Harley Quinn Vs Zatanna issue number 1 and find out together, shall we? Alrighty then, so this one wastes absolutely no time getting started. As we join the story already in progress, Zatanna is walking around a creepy old magic shop. The voice of the Heart of Apocalypse gets her up to speed on the rules as they are. Best 2 out of 3 bouts. Costume changes in between, but this time there is also the extra added wrinkle that Zatanna is not actually allowed to use any of her powers and can only win if she can defeat her opponent physically. Ah yes, a classic handicap match. We really are doing wrestling, aren't we? Another interesting development in this story is, unlike the other matchups we've seen so far, Harley and Zatanna not only have a pre-existing relationship, but they actually like each other and are coming into the Omega tournament with no extra animosity. It's because of that Zatanna actually reaches out the olive branch of friendship early on, saying that there's really no need for them to tear strips out of each other and maybe, just maybe, they can find a better way to deal with this. However, Harley's not hearing any of it. Harley also believes that fate has conspired against her by putting her up against the DC Universe's most powerful magic user, and it's because of that Dr. Quinzel goes for the throat. I mean, literally goes for the throat. The idea being that if Zatanna has her larynx crushed, she can't actually speak the magic words she needs to summon her spells. It's actually a pretty genius idea that ends up paying off dividends, as Harley spends pretty much the entirety of round 1 chasing Z all over the magic shop like a bad guy in a slasher movie, while also being sure to showcase her real superpower, and that is self-awareness and the ability to break the fourth wall, poking holes in the entire tournament concept, especially the idea that if Z just lets Harley win, she promises that she'll use her newfound powers as the Queen Omega to bring her back to life. And honestly, I'm shocked more people haven't tried to make this deal. To bring it back to wrestling writing for a minute, I'm surprised we don't see more finger pokes of doom. And hey, if you get that reference, do please sound off in the comments section down below. It's also just kind of funny too to see a situation where Harley herself actually feels hard done by and like she's the underdog, when in reality I think everyone assumed that just sheer popularity would see her sweep this match, so instead she's trying to prove the readers wrong by actively trying her hardest. Now Harley does ultimately end up winning the victory in round 1, leading us directly into round 2, complete with costume change. Harley notes that she has had so many amazing looks from across the DC multiverse, and she is 100% right, but which one is she going to go with? Maybe a little classic Batman the Animated Series, maybe a little DC Bombshells? Ooh, maybe one of the Arkham games. That would be fun and unexpected. And she actually ends up not getting any costume because she took too long to pick. Women, am I right? They do be loving their outfits and taking forever to get ready. Actually, Harley ends up putting in a pretty good joke there too, saying she wonders if the boys are having as much fun with this conceit as she is. Harley also gets to pick the venue for round 2 as well, and it's a full-on retro video game. Zatanna also regains use of her voice, but she vows to prove once and for all that she doesn't need her spells to take Harley down. The fight gets pretty bloody and brutal pretty quickly, with both women stabbing each other in the thighs. Harley also takes this opportunity to really verbally go after Zatanna, saying that she has lived her whole life in the shadows of much more famous men, be it Constantine or her father. Why on earth is Harley being so mean to a friend? Well, she talks about how after winning round 1 she was imbued with Omega energy. That probably made her feel a lot more like Darkseid, complete with a more villainous streak. The second reason, though, we'll circle back to in a minute. Zatanna ends up clearing round 2 with a very well-placed haymaker right to Harley's chops. This of course means that round 3 is a winner-take-all rubber match, and when Harley gets the opportunity to change her costume, this time she takes it, opting not for a costume from her past, but instead something completely new, a Zatanna-inspired costume all her own, because, well, that's a thing you can do, I guess. Again, this is theater, not sport. The points are made up and the rules don't matter. Also, despite magic seemingly being prohibited in the first 2 rounds, here Harley completely leans right into it, which I suppose is technically cheating, but if you both cheat, and the ref doesn't throw it out, does it technically matter? Again, the Heart of Apocalypse is not being a very impartial judge, and here especially the Heart is trying to push both combatants to be the worst versions of themselves. this. Harley pulls a big massive gun out of her magic hat and points it directly at Zatanna, who finally has decided that she has had enough of both these physical attacks on her body as well as metaphorical attacks on her character. She truly ends up pushing herself to the dark side before eventually lashing out with murderous intent, which proves to be more than enough to cut Harley down in her tracks. Surprise, surprise though, Harley actually isn't upset with this outcome. In fact, she says this is what she wanted, to try and help a friend find that killer dark side-like instinct that will propel her even further in the tournament, hopefully saving her and everyone else along the way. Harley might have had good intentions, but Zatanna sure isn't happy about it, and as the issue comes to a close, she lets out a horrifying wail of anguish as the Heart of Apocalypse declares her the winner. And so that was DCKO Harley Quinn vs Zatanna, and overall I enjoyed this issue for what it was. I feel at this point in these DCKO tie-ins you get either the joke ones or the serious character piece ones. This issue was honestly a little bit of both, with Harley bringing the funny and Zatanna bringing the pathos. Such as it was, I feel like the few times I've actually seen Zatanna show up in some of these bigger story events, her issues always feel to be the same for whatever reason. Heck, more than anything, I think this story actually felt like Joshua Williamson building on what he had done with Zatanna ever so briefly when her and Superman teamed up during Absolute Power. You know, when she had her whole "without my magical powers, what am I even" type of moment. Kind of a shame we didn't actually get to see Z cycle through any of her previous costumes and identities. Here's hoping they're saving that for the next round. There's also something weirdly cathartic too about Harley Quinn, a character who knows full well she's so popular, just throwing up her hands and admitting, nah, I'm a comedy character. I know I was never actually gonna make it that far in this tournament, so at least I might as well go out on my own terms. Overall, I think I feel comfortable giving this one a 7 out of 10. It's about on par with the Lobo Wonder Woman issue I read from last week, but so far nothing is touching the Superman Atom issue that Williamson also wrote.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Joel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me in the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.